All right, today we're tackling a really big idea, something that can feel a little out there, manifesting the kingdom. But what we're going to do is boil it all down into a super practical framework, something you can actually grab onto. So let's dive right in.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we've got to figure out what we're even talking about. What is the kingdom? Then we'll look at the two sides of that coin. From there, we'll get into the training manual, the how-to. We'll look at what the ideal person for this whole thing looks like. And finally, we'll see where it all leads. So let's start at the very beginning, with the foundation. All right, section 1. First things first, right? We need a solid foundation. Before we can manifest anything, we need to ask, what in the world is the kingdom? The source material we're looking at says it's way more than just a religious idea.
And this definition, this is really key. It completely reframes how you think about kingdom. It's not a place you go to, like a destination. It's a domain. Think of it like a king's territory, a place where his influence, his values, his entire culture, and his will are completely in charge. So yeah, it's a governmental concept, not just a spiritual one. Big difference.
So, to put it super simply, the kingdom is basically the governing influence of heaven actively working right here, right now, in a person's life or in a specific territory. It's not this thing we're just waiting around for. It's a force we're meant to be a part of. It's about transformation, whether that's in one person, a family, or an entire community.
Okay, that brings us to a really fascinating idea. It's this core duality. When we hear the phrase, "Thy kingdom come," it's not just one thing. It's actually pointing to two separate but totally connected ideas, a person and a program.
Okay, check this out. It's like two sides of the same coin. On one side, you've got the kingdom as a person. This is an internal reality. When someone becomes a believer, the source says the kingdom has come. See that? Past tense. It's already happened inside. But then on the other side, you've got the kingdom as a program. This is the external mission. This is what we're actively working toward when we pray, "Thy kingdom come." So it's both a reality we have now and a goal we're still reaching for.
And this is why that distinction is so important. This quote really nails it. It says, you can be born again, but that doesn't automatically make you a witness. What makes you a witness? It's that awareness that you're part of something bigger, a program that goes way beyond just your own personal salvation.
So if there's a program, it makes sense that there's a training process, right? Well, that's exactly what we're looking at next. The source lays out this really clear blueprint, these 5 levels of discipleship, to become an effective agent for that program.
And look at how this builds on itself. It's just like building a house, right? You have to start with a solid foundation. That's your spiritual and moral character. Then you frame the house. That's building your skills, your capacity. Then you become the foreman. That's leadership. And finally, you turn on the power and the water. That's empowerment and finding your ultimate purpose. You can't just pour a slab of concrete and say, "Hey, look at my house." It doesn't work that way.
And this is a point the source really hammers home. You can't skip steps. It's a huge mistake. If you have all the passion and good intentions in the world, but you skip building your skills, that capacity step, you're just going to end up frustrated and, honestly, ineffective. A good heart is crucial, but it's not enough. You need real competence to actually move the program forward.
Okay, so let's say someone goes through this whole process. What do they actually look like? What are the qualities of a person who can really make a difference? This is where the source gives us this incredible metaphor, the 4 faces of faith.
So this is the question we really have to ask ourselves, right? What does a truly effective person look like in this context? And the answer isn't about being really good at just one thing. Nope. It's about finding a balance between 4 essential characteristics.
Okay, this table breaks it down perfectly. Let's just walk through it, because this is brilliant. You've got the lion. That's your authority, your dominion. But if that's all you have, you just become arrogant, right? So it has to be balanced by the calf. That's humility. That's the heart of a servant. But if you're only the calf, you're going to get burned out and taken advantage of. So you need the face of the man, which reminds you, hey, I'm human, I have limits. But if you lean on that too much, it just becomes an excuse for failure, what the source calls carnality. So you have to balance that with the eagle, your spiritual insight, your connection to the big picture. Do you see how they all hold each other in check? It's a beautiful system.
And this quote from the source just brings it all home. "Show me a believer who captures this face. I show you a man who can advance the kingdom." I mean, wow. It's saying the person who's truly effective is the one who holds all 4 of these in balance. That leader who serves, that servant who knows how to lead. That is the person who's ready to make a real impact.
All right, so let's bring this all together for the grand finale. We've defined the kingdom, we've looked at the person and the program, we've walked through the 5 levels of training, and we've seen the 4 faces of the ideal agent. But what's the end game? What is all of this for?
So after all that, what is God's grand strategy for actually executing this whole thing, for manifesting the kingdom? You might expect some complex, cosmic plan, but the answer the source gives is shockingly simple. The strategy is you. It's people. The plan isn't a rule book, it's a movement of trained, developed, balanced individuals who become the agents for change.
And this really flips the script on how we think about changing the world. The focus isn't on fixing broken systems or infrastructure from the top down. No, the strategy is to transform the people who are inside those systems. The core belief here is that transformed people will inevitably build transformed systems. It's an inside-out job.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap of the big takeaways. Number 1, the kingdom isn't a passive place, it's an active influence. 2, it's got 2 parts, an internal reality, the person, and an external mission, the program. 3, to be any good at that mission, you need that holistic 5-step development. 4, the goal is that balanced character, the lion, the calf, the man, and the eagle, all working together. And the biggest takeaway of all? You are the strategy.
And that leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on, doesn't it? If you are God's strategy, how are you manifesting the kingdom in your world, right here, right now? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer.